How would you describe Jed Hoyer's response to the question about Marcus Stroman tweeting that the Cubs haven't engaged him in contract extension talks?
I mean, honestly, like we've talked about a million times, like we just don't talk about those things. And obviously, he made that public. And listen, I love the fact that he wants to be here, and we've had conversations about it. And I'm not going to disclose what we've talked about, but there's dialogue, and we'll keep that in house.
So, your reaction to what you just heard there from Jed Hoyer?
I respect the fact that Jed Hoyer didn't change anything about the Cubs' policy. They do not discuss contract negotiations publicly. I thought on Monday when we came in here, I said they needed to thread the needle. They needed to show a willingness to engage. And I think that he did that by acknowledging there was dialogue. I think he could do that without letting on too much else about the details. And I think that he accomplished maybe what he wanted to, even though he did not want to address it. I think he sounded annoyed. I think he does not like the fact that he had a pitcher who's in the midst of an all-star caliber season, first half, that tweeted out in the middle of the season the fact the Cubs did not engage in the contract negotiations or extension talk that I think that he felt like they were in the midst of. So I don't know what's accurate. I don't know what's gamesmanship, but I don't know that it's going away either. So after today's start, Marcus Stroman will get his chance to counter the fact, okay, Marcus, nice outing. The Cubs are now 3.5 games out. What do you think of Jed Hoyer saying that there was dialogue, and there has been dialogue? Because that's got to be the follow-up today. This is going to continue to go on, which is probably why Jed Hoyer sounded slightly annoyed.
Thank you, David. And I feel a little bit better that I picked up on the same word that you did. Jed Hoyer, in the piece of audio that Brandon just played for us, said discussions. If we read what Marcus Stroman said, there have been no discussions. Okay, so which one is it? Is it that Jed and Carter have had discussions about what to do with Marcus Stroman? Or has there been he didn't say who the discussion. He said there's been discussions. Have there been discussions with Marcus Stroman's agent? Or have there been discussions internally about the fact that, hey, we've got a really good pitcher right here who's on the verge of having an option. We're not sure if we're buyers or sellers. Like, who was the discussion with, Jed? Because that's what's the next step. And you're right. I hope that Marcus Stroman talks after the game tonight, and that's one of the very first things that is asked.
Yeah, I think that I took it to mean that the discussions were amongst themselves. How much money do we have? How do we want to distribute it? How much can we afford to spend on Marcus Stroman moving forward? I think there are always discussions as to what you're willing to do and how much, where you're going to use your various assets. I don't think that should be a surprise to anyone. I didn't take it as we're negotiating. I think he's talking about what Dustin, I don't think they know. Honest to God, I don't think they're at a position yet where they know if they're buying, selling, standing pat, getting rid of people. I don't think they are. I don't think they have a clue. I think maybe tonight helps in that discussion. I think that, as you get closer to being in the division race, then maybe that changes your focus. But they still have time. They still could go in either direction depending on how things are. I don't know. I don't know that they've made an outright decision on whether or not they believe this team's going to be winning by the end of the year.
Totally agree with that. The only thing I would add is that I think what happens is that when he acknowledges that they've had at least discussions or dialogue, or however you want to phrase it, it also just it speaks to the kind of the way they do business. I have a hard time imagining them thinking that Marcus Stroman or his representatives want to talk about a contract or talk about the situation, and they totally ignore him.
No, they don't.
See, that's what the suggestion that Stroman left.
And I agree with you. Stroman says we want, and they won't engage. What they probably have done is say, we're going to get to that. It's not time yet, but we will come to you soon.
We're talking about it. We're planning this.
That's it.
Let's wait and see.
I agree with you. I don't think they just stiff the guy.
That's not good business.
Okay, now we're willing to talk to you. I think, as we talked about when this story broke, they owe it to themselves to have a discussion with him and find out what exactly he's looking for before they make a decision. But that time's not now.